it used to grow a lot of lettuce. It used to be like the lettuce. We used to supply lettuce to most of the world here.
Lugs that I was telling you about, you turn them upside down, and then you bring in your mattress, which is a piece of cardboard over the boxes.
Their generation is not following the next generation. Now they're selling it or leasing it. And so then the corporations that come from Santa Maria, they don't need it. They only need it for winter. So in the summertime, they're selling that water.
About Westmorland, it says, you know what? We helped each other. That back then, we were all poor. We lived on this side of the railroad tracks.
If you live in the United States and eat vegetables during the winter, chances are that they came from this valley right here, which alone supplies 2/3 of the vegetables to the nation. It's the Imperial Valley. And when you add in the nearby Coachella Valley and Yuma, Arizona farmland, that number is brought up to 90%. The Imperial Valley is 4,000 square miles of farmland in the middle of the desert. It's in the southeastern corner of California. That's north of Mexico, east of San Diego, and west of Arizona. It's a green blob in the middle of a desert. And as you can imagine, water is at a premium. We're gonna be talking about that. We're gonna talk about the labor, and I'm mostly gonna be talking to the people who live and work here to get their perspectives on life.
Okay, Eddie, what is the Migrant Trail?
Well, there's different ones. It depends
Okay.
on where you're coming from, people.
Yeah.
So when we would go up north, one of the the things that I enjoyed the most was that you would meet people from Arizona, from Texas, other places. They'd wind up in Fresno labor camps or Merced or just any place they were. Sometimes we slept in barns.
Yeah.
Sometimes we slept in a tent, a Boy Scout tent. We were Boy Scouts. And so we had a tent, sleeping bags. Sometimes, I'd wake up and here comes the tractor right at me. And I wake up. But it seemed that it was closer. The digger, they were digging potatoes, and it seemed like, wow, this.
Yeah.
But my mom didn't want to wake us up so we could help pick potatoes, right?
Okay. Okay.
And so I remember that, and we had kerosene stoves, and so we bathed in canals,
Wow. Okay, wait. Now, so your childhood growing up, you would go to school during the year here in the Imperial Valley, in between Westmorland and Brawley, where we're at now. Mm-hmm. And then, is this a summer thing?
Yeah, it was summer, but during the year, weekends, if I needed any spending money, I had to go and pick squash or, tomatoes or, anything. We have sugar beets here.
Okay.
Okay, so I would go over there and what la tapiada. La tapiada was mean you have a lot of twins, so you have to cut in between, with a hoe, short handle hoe, and you thin out the beets.
Okay.
Otherwise, the beets wouldn't get sized. So you did that. That was a hand labor. So you get in a truck, and we knew the people that they were in the neighborhood, and my mom would, of course, tell them, Eddie needs to work. Put him in the truck, and so I'd go, and that's how I'd earn money to do things, at school. That buy an annual, a yearbook, and stuff like that. So during the year we worked in the mustard. The mustard was my mom, and I don't know, to this day I cringe, okay, at going to help her and thinking about what she had to go through, because she was supporting us, right?
Sure.
And you go there, pick up mustard. Well, you have to wear these plastic gloves, these overalls. They're made out of plastic, rubber boots and all that. And you march into the fields to snap off the mustard greens, and you snap them off and you put them in a box.
Okay.
Okay. Your fingers are icicles. And when you go to drop them off in the box, if you, by accident, touch the box, just tap it, it was pain, utter pain, because your fingers were like icicles. It seemed like they would break off.
Like it was cold. You're frozen.
It's colder than cold, right? Frozen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was so cold. Now, as the day wore on, the sun would come out, and you were still wet, but you could do something as a kid, right? So I was wondering, well, what's my mother feeling? If I'm feeling this pain, it was painful to pick mustard greens. That's the sort of thing that, so we did that during the year.
So as you were growing up and you were at elementary school, junior high, high school, what was your mom doing to support the family?
She was working in the fields, those jobs that I'm telling you. Now, there are a lot of small-scale farmers all around by Westmorland, Calipatria, here in Brawley. And so my mom was called because everybody has connections. It's all about connecting. So they call, hey, Josie, I need 10 packers, or pickers or whatever she was doing at the time. But she also packed tomatoes and squash, cucumbers and stuff like that. So these limited scale farmers popped up, and they were everywhere. And the Filipinos over in Nyland, a lot of Filipino farmers, and Japanese farmers over in Westmorland, and all different people had, and they knew her, and everybody that was trying to farm, and this is a smaller scale, they needed packers and pickers and stuff like that. So she was a go-to person if you needed, because people would say, hey, Josie, when are we going to start? It was just she took the leadership, I guess, and people would call her and trusted her to be able, and the growers knew her, and they would call her, and she had a half dozen to a dozen people that she could call and bring. So they just had to call somebody.
So it's very much like farm to farm, crop to crop.
Yeah.
And then that's your summer too, going from.
Then you go, and you got places to go. Now, when we went, we followed our neighbor who didn't pick potatoes. What he was doing, he was a packer, a melon packer.
Okay.
So he took us to a spot, and he knew people there, and we just hopped on the boat and started picking potatoes. And we followed them all around, and we would, like I said, there was a barn, and people would sleep in their cars or whatever. I mean, we were true, true migrants in that, and we didn't have, now, there were labor camps, that then we found. Well, some of our friends, from the valley, had relatives down there and said, why are you doing that the first year? They said, why don't you come to McFarland?
Okay.
That's over by Delano, 25 miles north of Bakersfield. And said,
more like Central California.
Yeah, it's Central California. And it says, my dad, is a big family, right? I mean, so my dad has a bunch of little houses, little, one room, a room and a half, one for half a kitchen, and then a bedroom, and that's it, right? And you can rent from them, and then you don't have to follow all these, be a hobo following all the, the potato season. And my husband is a contractor now, so, and he will take you and or your kids, and you can stay over here and do tomatoes or do something else, and your kids can go out with him in the truck at 5 o'clock in the morning. So you go out there. So that's what we started doing. We started going to McFarland, and we did that. I did that for 8 years, 8 summers.
Wow.
So I did that from when I was 10, and then when my last time that I went, I was 18.
So then that means that migrant trail that you did as a kid is still alive and well today?
Yeah, it might have changed a little bit because some of the crops have changed. Okay. For example, we used to go to Merced, for the, camp, Bear Creek Camp, which is like close to the entryway to Yosemite out there.
I'm shocked at how much distance you're traveling. I mean, what are we, 15 miles from the border right now?
Yeah, about that.
And
20.
Yeah, you're talking all up and down in California. Mm-hmm. Okay.
We went to Morgan Hill to pick. My mother had a cousin over there, so I said, let's go to Morgan Hill. I hated it because we couldn't make any money. You were picking prunes, not off the ground. You see the prunes, they shake the tree, the prunes drop to the ground,
Yep.
and then you pick them, put them in boxes.
Okay. And all of the crops that we're talking about, right? None of this is hourly. It's all paid per.
Yeah. That's what we looked for.
bag.
No, yeah.
Oh, that's what you would look for. Okay.
Yeah, because that's where you can make money. But so the prunes was very disappointing because they said, "Oh yeah, it's wonderful. Come on over here." And so we get there and, come on, you don't make any money. But so let's say in Merced, I remember somebody was doing a survey. I don't know, some university and all that. And so they were talking to me out there in the field, taking my time because time is money, right? So they said, "Well, how many boxes did you do?" All that stuff. Well, at that time, if I recollect, it was anywhere from 75 cents to $1 an hour.
Oh, if you got an hourly job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the pay rate. That
Okay.
was a going pay rate
Yes.
for farm work.
Okay.
So let's say it's $1, okay?
Yeah.
Well, by noon, okay, at 18 cents a lug, not talking about a box, a lug is big, right?
Is that like a full bag of?
No, it's not.
How much are we talking? How many?
Well, it's a
weight?
big box like that, and
Okay.
it's it's not a normal box. So, by noon I could do 100. Okay, on any given day, 100 boxes, easy. But if the trees were full, I could do 150 boxes by noon.
By noon. Okay.
Okay, so at 18 cents, 100 is what? $18 plus half of that, 27 bucks or something like that.
Yeah, compared to $1.
Compare
Or $1 an hour.
for let's say 4 or 5 hours. Let's say 5 hours. They
Yeah.
pay me $5 to do it and there were people that were hiring you to go do their small. They didn't have a lot, but because sometimes we had to go there because the crops were not ready for the company we were working for.
Okay.
They were not mature. The orchard was not
Right,
mature.
right.
But somebody else had some, let's say nectarines or something. And I remember going over there and falling asleep because it was just too monotonous to be working for $1 an hour.
Right.
So you make $5 when in 5 hours I could have made $27. But that's not
Yeah.
playing. That means you're doing battle with the trees and the ladders, and you're running. You're hustling.
You're motivated.
You're motivated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's the kind of work that I like.
And then the argument for that too, right, is that it works out for the farmers because they want it picked
Quantity.
and yeah, gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna move on with their crop.
Yeah, because the longer it stays on a tree, it gets more mature and all that, and so they have to find a happy medium anyway. So.
Would you, when you're sleeping out in the different combinations, the fields, the tents, the whatever, would you have to pay for that, or would farmers just let you?
No, that first year,
Yep.
you hook up with a certain contractor, labor contractor. They still have them today, but now they're more professional, right?
Right.
Back then,
And what years would have this have been?
well, that was
60s?
no.
Okay.
No.
Oh, am
That
I
was
wrong?
1957.
Okay.
57.
57.
So from 57 to 66.
Okay. Okay.
So,
I feel like my guess of 1960s was reasonable. But go ahead.
yeah, well, it is, but
57, all right,
yeah.
all right.
So that's when it was, for sure, because I was 10 years old in 1957. I'm 40. I was born in 1947, so 57. So that's why I don't forget these dates, because I know how old I was,
Okay.
and so that and it's easy. Yeah. So
Okay.
and my spiel is this, about Westmorland. It says, you know what, we helped each other. That back then we were all poor. We lived on this side of the railroad tracks, and anything that we did helped one. If it didn't help one person, it helped another. That sort of thing. So when we would go up north, and I said, okay, well, what are we going to eat? You know, I'm talking about you go to a labor camp
Yeah.
and they throw all the teenagers in one big blockhouse. Okay, you guys are staying here. There's no beds. You get boxes. And you know, and you those big lugs that I was telling you about, you turn them upside down and then you bring in your mattress, which is a piece of cardboard over the boxes.
Okay.
And a blanket. And so that's your mattress.
That's
you
it.
know? inch of cardboard, an inch of a blanket, and then you have another blanket and that. And then you need a nightstand, you have a box. You know, all it had is a stove, refrigerator, the kitchen, and running water. Bathrooms are communal, and you had showers outside in another block. But so there were families that lived there, and they put us all us teenagers in this place because we were loose. You know, we weren't attached to any one family.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. But we would board up.
Yep.
I would board up with one of those families. You pay them $5 a week. They hated to take the $5.
Really?
Yeah, he says, you eat like a bird. I said, so you eat one tortilla and my sons eat 10, right? So this is one of the family. I said, no, this is fair and all that. So a couple of years, so my mom wasn't there. She was Bakersfield or somewhere. But myself and my two brothers were. So we would board up with somebody for the meals, but we sleep over here.
Okay.
And then I started cooking.
Okay.
So my mother loaded me with pots and pans because it was disorderly. And I said, well, we're going to organize. So if you know, so it's $7 per person. There was about 8 of us. 2 of them were my brothers, and said, okay, loose ends. So I said, okay, I'm going to cook. And you're going to pay me $7. I'm going to cook 3 meals a day, 6 days a week. Sundays, I only cook 1 meal. I forgot which one it was. Either breakfast or lunch. And then you're on your own. Because normally we work 6 days a week. So, okay, so I'm going to do that for $7. I'll buy all the groceries and all that. I will do all the dishes except the dinner dishes. You will take turns. Okay, so everybody will take turns. Now, if you don't want to do the dishes, that's fine. You can hire somebody else to do your dishes for $1. Or you can hire me for $1. Okay, I'll do your dishes, your evening dishes. And I kept track whose turn it was, right? And so, because if they didn't do what I wanted, well, they're out on your own. Well, you figure out where you're going to eat because I'm not going to cook for you. Okay, because so if you have, that many individuals, you're fighting over the stove or the skillet or whatever. So I did all the cooking. I did 3 meals. But because I was too little, too skinny, too light, I couldn't lift the boxes. And all the others, including my 2 brothers, were bigger than I, stronger than I, and they can load. So they were all loaders.
Oh.
They drove the trucks, or somebody else drove the trucks, but they worked and loaded up the trucks with the fruit that was picked. So they went to work later than I did. So I cooked breakfast, and the thing that I would do, I never allowed them to serve themselves.
Oh.
I served them.
Okay.
Because if not, they'll take more than their fair share. So, okay, that's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay. Now, if there was left over, then I shared with, whatever.
You get a combination of community, but laying out the law.
Yeah. So I would then go to work. I left the meeting and I went to work. So then nobody was fighting over, whatever. So they always fit, and I would prepare the eggs the way they wanted them or whatnot. So, and there was very little meat, okay, because meat was expensive.
Right.
So I would go, and then, so I would pick, and then at lunchtime I'd rush back. Okay, they were out there picking the fruit and taking it to the cannery. I'm over here preparing lunch. So by the time I'm ready to go back, they would come in, wash up and all that, and I had lunch ready to serve. And I'd serve them all, and I'd go back to work.
Gotcha.
Okay. In the evening, when I got back, well, I would go, freshen up, take a shower, go over there and prepare dinner. And by the time they came back from the cannery, taking all the fruit, because they had to pick up all the fruit, be it fresh figs, I went to the cannery, or peaches. Peaches first and then figs. And then dinner was ready.
So this is downtown Westmorland.
Well, City Hall, actually, right?
Okay.
And that's where our jail is, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that adobe structure has been there forever and a day. Growing up was a lot of fun around here. And there used to be adobe all the way around, a fence that, you know, the weather took it down and all that. But
Yeah.
not much has changed. They've done this up, you know, in the last 10 years. So it looks real good, and something that Westmorland is known for, you know, honey, and we have our honeybee festival every year. And my friends that have moved away, they keep coming back, and so do I, every chance that I get, and we try. It's like a big happy reunion when they have it, and it's down there in that area where the recreation hall and the swimming pool is held. And I think it's on the 19th of November again this year.
For sure.
Yeah.
I like the
Yeah.
hives and at the street lamps.
Yes. Isn't that great? I don't know who thought that up, but they did a great job. Yeah.
Okay, Eddie. So tell me a little bit about your backstory.
Growing up here, you mean?
You grew up here.
Yes. And so, yeah, and so, well, I was born here not in Westmoreland, not in Barley, but in between in 1947.
Okay.
So I always claim this as my birth home, and always will be my home, even though I've been gone for a number of years. But yeah, I grew up here and went to school. The elementary school here is down the street, and K-8, and then went to Brawley Union High School. We were all bused to Brawley. We've never had acquired a high school here, but that was fine. We did well with that. And then after, you know, going to the military, after completing high school and community college, I went to the military, and I always had a dream of being involved in agriculture. And as a quarantine inspector was my wish. And I wound up going to Cal Poly Pomona after the service, and spent 3 years living in Pomona at Cal Poly Pomona, and I graduated with a bachelor's in ag business management, and then I became an ag teacher. Central Union High School was my first gig, and then I went on to Imperial. Later on, I got my master's in counseling from the University of San Diego, and then came up to Brawley as a counselor. I got my counseling and major in counseling, and I had a credential, and I went to Brawley Union High School, and I did that. Later on, went back to Central as Dean of Students, their first Dean of Students actually, and worked at IVC, and then eventually I worked for the University of California as a farm advisor in ag business management, not ag business, I'm sorry, in ag personnel management. So that was a great 9 years. Really enjoyed working with the farmers, and so really connected up with them. I did a lot of work with the FFA in judging and the 4-H for many, many years. And eventually we left the valley. So
Hold for the trucks. Hold on. They're pretty loud.
yeah, this is a truck route, and that's why you see all these trucks coming through here.
Coming right through.
Yeah. So you'll see that a lot of times they'll cut off over here, and to avoid, you know, coming through the center of our little community here.
Well, this is very much a farming town.
Yes,
I got that impression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, most of the jobs are related to agriculture in some way or another. So, you know, now with the advent of technology and other employment opportunities like the prisons and all that has come, but still, agriculture is a mainstay here for many folks.
you came on a nice day, I'll tell you that.
It's a great day. Not too warm.
You need to turn this thing off or no?
No. We just keep it running. It's casual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing that?
I'm second generation.
Second generation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm second generation, and then my dad started it. He worked for back in the '60s. They were what they call mom and pops little businesses, and when we hear in politics now, mom and pops, those were mom and pops because it was the wife and husband working, and the mom and pops now that you hear now is where somebody owns a business, but it's not the wife. It may be the husband or it might be the wife that works, but not mom, not the two.
Sure.
Yeah.
Have more people? Has it become more consolidated, or can like a mom and pop still?
You hear of it, but you don't hear as much.
Okay.
You hear of husband and wife working together, but they don't grow it to an extreme of big business. It keeps small, where they can control it, and in other words, they don't have to hire help. They try to do it themselves.
Okay. And I would assume then they would have a pretty good relationship with the farmer every year, where they're going?
If those people they pollinate, they would probably subcontract with a bigger beekeeper.
Oh.
Okay, but generally, the way it works, a commercialized beekeeper always subcontracts for the mom and pops or the smaller beekeeper because the smaller doesn't go and generates that kind of business. They're more into making honey. Okay. Because because they don't have to hire people. They can control it. They can do it themselves.
Sure.
Yeah. And see, in pollination, you have to travel. You're traveling from here. You travel in different areas, and when you're honey producing, you're just moving them to one location, stays there. You make your honey, and you move to another location. Then you make your honey there, and then you go to another location.
Okay. Yeah. So now you're just doing everything. You're traveling a little bit less than you used to, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I still travel between Bakersfield and here, and I travel around here locally more, because I'm taking the bees to the alfalfa seed, to cantaloupes fields, melons and stuff, but out of state I don't travel anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so you grew up in Westmorland?
Yes, I was born in El Centro, and I was raised here in Westmorland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, been here since, and I just recently moved to Imperial. I live in Imperial now.
Okay.
But my business is still stationed here in Westmorland. And my dad's still here. He still lives in Westmorland.
Okay. And so he started the bee business.
He started after he worked for several mom and pops, and then he started his business back in the late 70s. And then there was a time where there was some crisis going on, and so he kind of got frustrated. But then he says, hey, you know what, son, I'm going to go and do something else. And so he was doing something else, and then I took it and I gradually grew it. And then he decided he wanted to come back and do it. And we joined kind of forces, but he had his part and I had my own part.
Absolutely. And now, do your bees compete against natural bees, or is everything kind of kept separate?
No, they compete. They compete because like right now, like in pollination, we're competing against this little. It looks like a fly. It's called the cutter bee.
Yeah.
Okay, well they hired that cutter bee to pollinate here alfalfa seed. So we're competing against that bee, but that bee does that. And it's called a bee. So that bee doesn't produce anything. All it does is a nuisance for us because it trips our honey production. It kills it because we can't make honey because our bee goes over there and that flower's been worked already.
Sure.
So it lowers our production down.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Now, do the farmers, do they not mind that, or because for you it's competition but for them they're getting free pollination, or is that not?
Well, the farmer goes out and gets that because there's a myth that the bee is sick.
Oh.
Okay, and so the farmer's going out and buying these cutter bees to pollinate because they say, oh no, the cutter bees do a better job because they go in there, but there's not. They don't know the whole truth of it because the cutter bee dies at a temperature. Okay, the honeybee can withstand temperatures up to 110, 112. You know, if shaded, it can withstand higher temperatures. If shaded, like we shade our bees, and I just took all my shades off, so I can't show you any shades. But if it's shaded, the bees can work longer and do a better job than the cutter bee. But the myth is that no, the cutter bees do a better job. But that cutter bee only can work a circumference of 30 yards, I think, 30 from the home. And so they have to get. That's why when you go to these fields, you see many little stations, and then they use our bees to fill in those areas that bee can get into. You know?
Okay.
And so they still hire us, but not hire us in numbers, big numbers like they used to.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Wow. All right, got some competition, I guess.
Yeah. So. I don't mind it because if he doesn't hire me, I'm gonna make honey. You know, like this year. Okay, I didn't. You know, there was a lot of bee guys here from all over the place. I didn't get hired. I didn't hire because I didn't want to put my bees through all the stress, and so I was gonna go. I was changing my mentality from being a pollinator to a honey producer.
Okay.
And so that's why I tell you I did both, because I did a little bit of pollination and I did a little bit of honey production. And so that's why I told you I did both. But if I was gonna do it, I would do honey because the bees conserve themselves better, because you're not moving them so many times here, there, you know, and then you're stationed and you keep them and you shade them and keep them, you know, try to maintain them well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now tell me this, because I'm a native San Diegan, but this is my first time in the Imperial Valley. Ironically, I've never come out. I know, it's incredible, right? I am shocked at how, I mean, it's just desert, and then, like, it's incredible though the amount of farmland that just pops up.
Yes.
This has got to be a unique spot in the country, right?
Yes, because it's flat and it's got a lot of water. Okay, you got water. You got water. You know, it's probably the only place that has water running through the whole valley.
What's interesting? You say there's a lot of water. It's the result of the canal.
It's a canal. It comes in through here. It comes through Colorado, the Colorado River, and comes in through the valley. Yes.
Are water rights, is that a real competitive thing, or do the farmers feel like they have enough water?
Well,
Is it a big time?
that's a different talk for another time. But it is getting competitive.
Yeah.
Because the big cities are coming in and trying to take it away.
Okay.
And if we don't watch it, we're gonna get left with nothing.
Okay.
And we won't have what we have right now.
For many years there was, it sounded like maybe even more than enough water, but now it's real competitive.
Yes, it is. It is because now the farmers have to put special orders. They have to put a plan together before the year to see how much water they're going to need for their ranches, and so they have to plan. And some of them are not plan well because they try to change with the crop.
Right. Oh, I see. You might not know exactly what you need. Okay, I see.
This is olives. We don't pollinate olive, but
Okay.
the bees work it. But that's olive rare. These are lemons here on this side, and so they work it, but there's no surplus honey made out of lemons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so, like the way it works in terms of your location here, you've made a deal with this farmer.
No, this is a co-op from up north, and they have vacant property, and they need bees at a certain time. Okay, and so I don't charge for that when they need the bees and when they need them because of the citrus when it comes off and the bloom. So what I did is, can I use this spot because during this time of the year, the inner valley, which is down there, they spray a lot.
Okay.
And so then I asked for this, and they don't spray here. There's kind of less spraying done here. So I station them here.
The spraying and the chemicals seem to be a real big deal for the bees.
Oh
They
yes,
don't,
yes. See, he's feeding the bees with that hose there.
Ah, okay. Wow.
Let me see if I can get a closer shot for you.
Yeah, sure. And that's so these guys are feeding the bees so that you can grow and have more bees.
Yeah, because they right now they're eating the brood that's growing, the baby bees that are hatching, they need food.
Yeah.
And so we need to have that food next to them.
Okay.
And so that's what we're doing. We're feeding them.
Gotcha. So the time of year that we're in like the scale up before you start going.
Yeah.
North?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we got. See, this valley used to grow all the way to October, but because here again about the water situation, they started. First, it was the whitefly. The whitefly started hurting us because the whitefly, it's considered a little miniature fly, and it was attacking the plants. So then they started drying up the valley in August because they didn't want it to produce. So then that hurt us. Then it hurt us in many ways because they used to grow malins here in the fall, and they don't grow malins in the fall anymore. So it cut that income out. Then it killed us because they started cutting back on the growth of the water because of the plant. They wanted to stress the plant out so it wouldn't produce a whitefly. Well, then that happened, and then the water situation where they're selling our water. Well, now they cut back down in September. Now in September, after September, there's hardly anything here unless it rains. That's when we go to the deserts and we follow the blooms in the desert. But it hasn't rained since it's been. We haven't gotten any rain. We used to get a lot of rains, monsoon rains,
In the
we didn't
winter.
get in the summers,
In the summer.
going into winter, but we have not gotten any.
Oh wow. Okay.
So,
Now, are farmers selling their land to lithium mining companies?
no, no, they're getting the edge of the sea, which is this right here, and I don't know where the report, but anyways, there used to be a city down here, and they call it Benson's Landing.
Okay.
And I'll let Eddie tell you a little bit about this.
Okay.
Eddie, I told him that this is one of your stomping grounds down here, your playground.
Oh, South Sea?
Well, this used to be Benson's Landing. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Look at it, it's nothing now.
Wow. But there was over here, there was a spring somewhere over here. Oh,
Clip away. Clip away.
I told you, he knows this.
yeah, there was a hot water spring over here, someplace that we used to come to. Yeah, and I can't remember, which place it was. Get lost and things change. Yeah, I was telling them we used to go to Black Point. Yeah, down there by Calapat.
Yeah.
And then the Salton Sea came this way. So we were talking about that, the water receding, but in our time it came out this way and flooded the Elmo Ranch, some of their property and all that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is it
So you had a problem with too much water, like
at first?
The water used to come up to here.
Really?
Yeah, you couldn't go beyond that right there.
No way.
Yeah. you
Okay.
could-
Oh, that's incredible.
So you see how much has receded?
I mean, that's like a mile down, or maybe more. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but the main thing is it used to be back over there, and then it came out here because of the over irrigation and all this and that. And it came out here. They got sued, remember, by the irrigation district because the water was inundating their farm fields, their fields where they grew. And so now, because of the allotment of water and the Metropolitan Water District, coming and getting, forcing people to conserve water. So that's what's happened. Now it's receding. So I don't know, I'm making a big deal about, the oil is receding. Well, it shouldn't have gone this way in the first place as far as I'm concerned.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
interesting. Yeah.
Because they were wasting water and it came out this way.
Okay.
And it caused harm to the land where people were farming, the other companies and stuff.
Okay.
So,
I was telling them this is one of the lithium
oh
buildings
yeah,
right here.
for lithium, yeah.
He said he's never been here in this valley, and he said there's a lot of things that are going on. He goes, yeah, there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, they say that this is one of the richest lithium areas.
That's
of the
what they
world.
say. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Some of the people that have the big money have bought property.
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe over in Bombay Beach or something like
No,
that.
it's all over, but this is the biggest right here, and the guy that got the biggest, the one that's gonna get rich is old Mike Morgan. This is all Mike Morgan.
Mike.
Yeah, this is all Mike Morgan's.
He's on the lithium land.
Well, yeah, and he inherited. And he's one of the sons that got inherited. He's not an Elmore. He inherited because his mom married an Elmore, and that's how he inherited. Yeah. And so he was one of the lucky ones. But no, he controls probably 90% of the ground is adjacent to the sea, from starting on that end to this end, and that was all because of his mom married into an Elmore. Yeah.
So then down here, there used to be a town, Vincent
Benson's Landing.
Benson's Landing, they call it. Well, I don't know if it was a town, but it was a spot, right?
Well, there was a lot of bait shops, stores.
Yeah,
That's
baits.
what I hear.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah, for the hunters, they used to come over, duck hunting clubs and stuff like that. Yeah.
And then what happened to it? It just
Disappeared, like, they rot, the places.
Water took over.
Yeah.
And they,
Yeah.
and then because it started growing, water taking over, and then it disappeared because of the water. But now, if you go down there, you'll see, the erosion stuff. The buildings are still probably there, but but the city's done and gone. There was a family out of Fallbrook, Andrews. They were gonna buy some land and build a motel there.
okay.
And all their fortune went into that and never got done because the water started receding.
Wow. Okay. Okay. But it's mainly because it's too many people want the water, right? Between the cities, farmers.
Well, see, the local farmers are not growing anymore.
Okay.
It's all corporations growing here. It's not individuals like say your family started growing here and then the next generation. No, the third generation that as far as I can remember, the third generation is not following the next generation. Now they're selling it or leasing it. And so then the corporations that come from Santa Maria, they don't need it. They only need it for winter. So in the summertime, they're selling that water.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And they only need it for winter because they're doing winter crops, winter vegetables.
Crop, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So they follow their crops up north to Santa Maria to wherever.
Yeah.
All the coastals, and then when they can't get when it's raining over there, it's not raining down here. They use the water.
Interesting. Okay. And it doesn't make sense for them to farm here all year round.
They don't have an avenue of selling grass, their grass, and meaning their Sudan or Bermuda or alfalfa, because that's what you grow during the summertime. So they leave their ground vacant or fallow, what they call fallow. I don't like that word because they pay the farmers not to grow, and they call it fallowing.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So you're seeing less total farming happening.
Oh yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you would have been here 2 months ago, you would have looked at this and said, "What's going on? How come it looks so dry?" Because they just did it. They just did a deal with the farmers for 90 days for them not to grow or use the ground for 90 days, and they sold an allotment of water to LA.
Okay. Wow. Interesting.
But that's very, very low key. Nobody really knows, what happened. But that's what happened. They paid them for 90 days not to grow.
Interesting. Okay. And so LA made that deal with the corporations that own the land.
Oh no, they made the deal with the guy that has the faucet, which is the IID. And the IID made the deal with the farmers.
Okay.
They said, we'll pay you so much for so many months, and there was a monopoly of guys. They'd say, go ahead, and they sold the water.
Okay. So there's some aggressive tactics with the water.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of money being made.
Okay. If you control the water, that's the way to do it. All right.
This is the real winners? Okay. Huh. And then is there any talk about piping water in from somewhere else, from the East Coast or from the Pacific Ocean, and desalinating it? Or are those pie in the sky?
No, as a matter of fact, there's talk over there, but there's a lot of politics. A lot of people don't want that to happen in the LA area, because they want the beaches, you know.
Okay.
The minute somebody cleans that water, what's going to happen? Yeah, they're going to find a way to sell it. You know? That's why a lot of them over there. The minute somebody comes up with some plan, because there's already. I don't know if you've seen. When I go up and I stay over there in San Diego, I see people talking about their raw sewage being turned into drinking water.
Yeah.
Okay, so the minute that they finish that water, what is going to happen? They're going to go to the ocean and they're going to look for that, you know.
Okay.
But there's a lot of, what do they call it, conservationists?
Yeah.
That they're not letting that. There's a lot of resistance to that.
Okay. Wow. It seems like a complex issue. Are you frustrated by it? Are you?
Well, you know, I would if I would have kids that depended on it, but there's families that should be worried about that.
Oh, I see.
You know, because it's going to come to a time where that the guy that wants to grow, you know, start a business and being a farmer, he's not going to be able to start.
Okay.
That's what's going to happen.
I see. So it's much harder. It's already much harder, right?
Oh yeah.
For a mom and pop farm to exist.
Exactly.
Or if somebody wants to start a farm,
it's getting harder.
Okay.
Harder.
What would you like to see happen?
To me, I like where there's opportunity for more people, because if you have opportunity, you have, you know, it spreads it, and you have more people are working, and you know, you got more people. Instead of fighting each other, you got more. I think you're more united.
Okay. It's been amazing to have the opportunity to experience the pride and passion of the local community, where on the ground it's a lot more complicated as to which crops are grown and not grown and how to handle the water situation. I want to thank Eddie, Victor, and Paul for giving me the opportunity to tag along and understand what's going on here, and for them to share their insights. Till next time.